stability was never the natural condition of civilization. It was never the baseline of human history. It was never the default state of social order. What many people remember as normal was not balance. And it was not equilibrium. It was an interval. A temporary alignment of forces. Economic, energetic, demographic, institutional. That came together quietly. And remained intact just long enough to be mistaken for permanence. The 20th century did not tame history. It did not remove volatility from human systems. It displaced pressure instead. Consequences were pushed forward in time, outsourced across geography, and buried beneath layers of abstraction. That made cause and effect difficult to see. Cheap energy absorbed inefficiency. Expanding populations diluted failure. Institutional trust converted friction into patience. Each acted as a buffer. Each delayed reckoning. For several decades, the world appeared stable. Not because it had solved its contradictions, but because instability had been relocated away from daily experience and out of conscious awareness. That period did not teach humanity how history behaves under pressure. It taught humanity how to forget. And forgetting, when it ends, does not feel like adjustment. It feels like collapse. What we describe today as things breaking down is not the loss of order. It is the moment memory returns, and postponed reality reasserts itself. Civilizations have always fractured. Empires have always weakened. Currencies have always failed. There is nothing new about decline itself. What is new is how decline now arrives. In the past, breakdown unfolded unevenly. A province collapsed before the capital. A class absorbed loss before the majority. A generation paid the price, while another still believed correction would come. Failure moved slowly enough for denial to survive. This moment does not allow that luxury. Economic pressure does not arrive alone. Political distrust does not remain isolated. Cultural fragmentation does not stay symbolic. Technological acceleration does not remain neutral. Psychological exhaustion does not remain private. These forces do not merely appear together. They rise together. They stack. They reinforce. They synchronize. This convergence creates the sensation that everything is breaking at once. But this sensation is misleading. What people are actually sensing is not multiple independent failures occurring in parallel. It is a single system, losing alignment across all its layers. At the same time, the world does not feel unstable, because every component failed separately. It feels unstable, because interdependence has become impossible to ignore. The system is not collapsing in pieces. It is revealing itself as a whole. The modern world was not built for resilience. It was built for efficiency. Efficiency of movement. Efficiency of capital. Efficiency of production. Efficiency of decision-making. Anything that slowed throughput was treated as waste. Anything that added friction was framed as inefficiency. Over time, this logic became invisible. Redundancy was removed because it looked unnecessary. Buffers were optimized away because they appeared idle. Margins were compressed because precision promised control. Supply chains stretched across continents to shave fractions of cost. Finance detached from physical constraint to accelerate return. Decision cycles shortened until speed itself became power. The system performed beautifully. Output increased. Costs declined. Coordination improved. But performance is not resilience. In tightly coupled systems, every gain in efficiency reduces tolerance for error. Speed magnifies mistakes. Precision removes forgiveness. The architecture that delivered abundance also ensured that failure, when it arrived, would not be contained. What was gained in optimization was lost in adaptability. And adaptability is what systems rely on when conditions change. In earlier eras, shocks moved slowly. Distance absorbed impact. Institutions buffered damage. Time created space for adjustment. A failed harvest remained regional. A banking collapse stayed national. A war unfolded at the pace of logistics. Disruption had boundaries. Failure respected geography. And consequence arrived with delay. That delay mattered. It allowed denial to operate. It allowed adaptation to emerge. It allowed systems to bend instead of snap. The modern world no longer has that delay. Distance has collapsed. A factory shutdown becomes a global shortage. A policy signal becomes a market panic. A rumor becomes political instability. Shocks no longer travel outward. They arrive everywhere at once. There is no absorption phase. No recovery window. No buffer between cause and consequence. The system reacts before understanding can form. What people experience as chaos is not randomness. It is synchronization without mercy. Events do not compound gradually. They stack instantly. Pressure that once dispersed now converges. And systems designed for speed do not slow themselves down. When damage begins, they accelerate. This is why disruption no longer feels episodic. It feels permanent. Not because collapse has arrived, but because shock has become structural. As pressure increased, the system faced a choice: adapt structurally or defer consequences. Adaptation required visible loss. Deferral promised invisible cost. The choice was never neutral. Adaptation meant slower growth, reduced consumption, admitted limits. Deferral preserved appearances. Debt replaced restraint. Liquidity replaced reform. Narrative replaced constraint. Each intervention stabilized the present by extracting value from the future. Growth continued. Consumption persisted. Confidence remained intact. From the outside, the system still looked functional. Institutions remained open. Markets continued to move. Everyday life appeared uninterrupted. But the future did not disappear. It was pledged. Tomorrow became collateral for stability today. Every cycle of deferral made the next adjustment harder, because the margin for error was quietly consumed. Problems were not resolved. They were postponed, rolled forward, with interest. This is why each crisis now demands a larger response than the one before it. Not because the problems are larger, but because tolerance is gone. When slack disappears, small disturbances require extreme correction. This is not excess. It is precision, turning against itself. The most fragile component in this system is not economic. It is not political. It is cognitive. Human perception evolved for gradual change, for seasons, for generational turnover, for cause and effect, separated by time. It did not evolve for permanent crisis signaling. It did not evolve for continuous narrative reversal. It did not evolve for environments where meaning updates faster than understanding can stabilize. As the pace accelerates, belief systems strain, trust decays, identity hardens, People do not become irrational. Under these conditions, they become efficient. They simplify. They narrow the field of attention to what feels immediately relevant. They choose certainty over accuracy, belonging over complexity, emotion over delay. This is not a moral failure. It is a biological response to sustained compression. When reality moves faster than interpretation, the nervous system prioritizes reaction over reflection. This is why every issue feels existential. Why disagreement escalates instantly. Why compromise disappears. The system did not only overload infrastructure and institutions. It overloaded meaning itself. And when meaning collapses, reaction replaces reflection. This moment is often described as collapse. Collapse implies an ending, a final failure, a system giving way, a clean break from what came before. But this is not collapse. It is exposure. What is failing first is not infrastructure, and not even institutions. It is illusion. The illusion that stability was permanent. The illusion that growth could continue without constraint. The illusion that consequences could be deferred indefinitely. Those illusions are dissolving. And as they dissolve, the underlying structure becomes visible. Incentives reveal themselves. Constraints assert themselves. Systems behave exactly as they were designed to behave. Under pressure, nothing is malfunctioning. The system is operating without anesthesia. If the world were truly ending, reaction would be enough. But this phase demands something else. Orientation. Those who navigate transitions are not the strongest and not the loudest. They are the least surprised. They stop chasing stability and start designing for volatility. They stop trusting assurances and start reading incentives. They understand that precision is not cruelty. It is information. And once confusion dissolves, panic loses its power. The world beneath the world was always there. What changed is that it no longer hides.